Feeling stressed? Here are 5 ways games can actually help. We've done plenty of videos on the way that games are good for us, how they reflect our true selves, and why we really shouldn't feel bad for diving in every so often. But it's also important to talk about how they affect our mental health. This is in no way saying that games can fix everything. If you are feeling stressed or anxious, you should speak to friends, family, or a professional. And games aren't always the best solution. But there are numerous studies that show how games can help your mental health, and that's what we'll be exploring in this video. From removing social anxiety to games actually helping prevent PTSD, here are 5 ways that games can reduce stress and anxiety. There have been plenty of studies around how games can improve your cognitive abilities and skills, but it turns out that they can also make you actively feel better. In her article How Video Games Can Teach Your Brain to Fight Depression, game designer and author of the book Super Better, Jane McGonigal, talks about a psychologist of play called Brian Sutton Smith. He worked in the 1950s and 60s and was well known for saying that the opposite of play isn't work, it's depression. He found that when playing, we experience stronger self-confidence, more energy, and increased positive emotions. So, all good things. This is, as you might expect, the complete opposite of when we're depressed, when we have less energy and fewer positive emotions. Now, Sutton Smith was doing all his work with adults and children when video games weren't around, but McGonigal says that scientific research now fully supports his statement. When we play video games, 2 big chunks of our brains are constantly stimulated: the area we link to motivation and goal orientation, and the region associated with learning and memory. Given the nature of most games, it's easy to see why. Whether we're playing Total War, Hitman 2 or Fallout 76, we constantly have our eyes on victory and a specific goal, whether it's taking down a target or just making sure that we've got enough digital MacGuffins to be able to craft that much needed item. When it comes to the hippocampus, the grey matter dedicated to learning and memory, every time we pick up a new game or learn new skills, we're lighting up all those neurons too. Incredibly, McGonigal says, these 2 specific regions of the brain are actually understimulated or even shrink over time when we're clinically depressed. Stop and think about that for a minute. When we're happily playing, our brains are essentially the opposite of being depressed. Now, of course, this doesn't mean curing stress and anxiety is just a case of handing someone a mouse and keyboard, but it does mean that gaming can be a small part of our self-care routine and help maintain our mental well-being. Everything should obviously be taken in moderation, but settling down to your favourite game for an hour or so legitimately makes your brain happier and healthier. Video games don't just tackle your anxiety at home. You might have heard of the so-called Tetris Effect, where people think about the blocky game long after you've stopped sending those tetronimos hurtling downwards. Not only has it been proven that Tetris relaxes your brain with its perfect combination of common sense and challenge, it's also been used in clinical environments and proven to be an aid in cases of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. It's not got the snappiest title, and it's not the first time that this has been done, but a study published in 2017 called Preventing Intrusive Memories After Trauma via a brief intervention involving Tetris computer gameplay is fascinating. Researchers from the University of Oxford and Sweden's Karolinska Institute worked with 71 people in the Accident and Emergency Department who'd all been in road traffic accidents to see if playing Tetris after trauma could lessen the repeated memories of the incident itself. The experiment compared the subsequent trauma experiences of those who had been in an accident and played Tetris in hospital and those who did not. Patients played within the first 3 hours after a trauma, which is when the brain is performing what's called memory consolidation, where it basically works out what's just happened. The patients were then instructed to fill out a diary of their mental state during the following week. Amazingly, the results showed that the patients who had played Tetris experienced far fewer intrusive memories of the traumatic event rather than those who hadn't played the game. Tetris in this situation then can absolutely be seen as a healing tool. The study concluded that a brief, science-driven intervention offers a low-intensity means that could substantially improve the mental health of those who've experienced trauma, and for the first time offers a cognitive therapeutic vaccine that could be administered soon after a traumatic event, like a rabies vaccine after a dog bite, to prevent intrusive memories of trauma in the subsequent week. Reflecting our first entry, this is another aid, not replacement, for traditional medication, and it's further proof that video games in the right place and at the right time can actually improve your mental health. It follows directly on from talking about Tetris, but when it comes to games that can ease your mind, there's nothing quite like settling down to the peace of Stardew Valley or the repetition of Bejeweled. These are games that you can just pick up, with no need to remember a War and Peace style plot and a simple distracting reward loop. There's a reason that so many play Candy Crush, and it's not just because it makes them really hungry. We've done a whole video on exactly the kind of games to play if you're stressed, and it turns out that even just experiencing a peaceful game for a short time makes you happier, relaxed, and even a better human being. A study from Ohio State University psychology professor Brad Bushman, called Remain Calm, Be Kind, proved that after just 20 minutes of playing a relaxing game, people are more disposed to helping others. Putting 150 college students to the test, the Remain Calm, Be Kind study performed two different experiments. One where participants played a peaceful game and then played a competition reaction time task with a partner, and a second where participants played a relaxing game and then had their chance to help their examiner sharpen pencils. Not only did peaceful game players react non-aggressively in the reaction time task, but players who were happy after playing a game were more than amenable to sharpening pencils too. Yep, 20 minutes of gaming made them a better person. Now, we're not saying that all games improve your disposition. You only need to look at Matt after losing one of our Let's Plays to know that. But this is still empirical proof that games can make you a kinder person.
Oh my god! Gordon!
It's really important to note here that there are different ways to play games, and not all of them are good for your stress or anxiety. Going back to Jane McGonigal, she says that 40% of frequent game players say they play video games to escape daily life. She states that well-meaning parents, spouses and educators make the situation worse by admonishing gamers to put down the game and do something real, or to stop wasting so much time. These statements negatively affect people and drive them towards games, but in a way that they can become addicted or negatively impacted. Instead, McGonigal promotes what she calls purposeful play, a way of enriching problem-solving skills, reaction times, or building resilience to real-world problems. This is the opposite of escapism, a way to play in a style that will enrich your life, make you happier, relax you, and send your brain to the cheerful state I talked about in the first entry. I've talked a lot about it before in other videos, but playing games is a constant challenge and reward, giving yourself goals but also learning ways to deal with more stressful situations in the real world by handing over a risk-free environment in which to practice dealing with stress. The article The Benefits of Playing Video Games discusses just this, as it talks about the challenges offered up constantly in games. Every time you level up in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you get better, but the world gets more difficult and you're training your brain to deal with these new challenges. And finally, while lots of games are just about you and spending quality time with your own brain, it's important to say that games can also help relieve anxiety and stress around social interactions. Whether you're a master at parties or would just rather make friends with a cat in the corner, social situations can be challenging for everyone. Games can help provide a safe space for that. And while not all gaming chat channels are welcoming, there are ways to improve your relationship skills via gaming. In a study published in 2007 called Social Interactions in Massively Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Games, researchers looked into the relationships of 912 MMORPG players from 45 different countries. It doesn't matter that these interactions are online, the discussions and relationships within MMORPGs makes up a big part of the enjoyment of the games themselves. Sure, you can have fun on your own, but the shared pleasure on offer here promotes healthy, happy-making relationships. The study states that as online communities are not bound by the same demands of offline conversation, this encourages anxious people to relax and show their true personality online. After making friends through text, transitioning to speech may be easier than talking offline. Of course, I'm not saying that you need to make all your best friends online, but jumping into a shared space with common interests is a great place to talk to like-minded people, and a large percentage of people meet up in the real world after meeting online. The study also found some really interesting statistics around the types of friendships built in online games. 45.6% of those involved with the research said that they found their MMORPG friends comparable to their offline friends in terms of friendship quality. 39% also said that they talked about sensitive issues with these friends that they wouldn't discuss with their offline ones. Yet again, everything is about balance, but however you spin it, these are very real relationships.
Looks like it's time for a bloodbath.
So that's 5 ways that games can actively relieve stress and help your mental state. It's important to say here though that if you are experiencing stress or anxiety, don't suffer alone. There's links in the description below for who to contact if you need someone to talk to. Let us know in the comments if games have helped you with stress, and don't forget to subscribe to Logitech G for more videos just like this one. If you do already subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know exactly when the next video lands.